Little bit we'll be hearing In just a little bit, we'll be hearing a message from our lovely co-senior editors, readings from some of our wonderfully talented contributors, and of course, revealing the magazine for the first time. But before we get things rolling, I do need to go over the house rules. We've got a lot of people with us in this Zoom call, which we'd love to see. Thank you all for coming out to show some support tonight. I'm going to have to ask that you support us with yourselves muted. So unless you're the person currently speaking, your microphone should be off. If you have something nice to say, put it in the chat. Here at Zenith, we love to spread the love, so please join us in hyping up all of tonight's presenters. We do have auto-generated closed captions turned on, so you should be able to access them if you hit the button at the bottom of your screen. As you should have seen when you joined the meeting or just now, we are recording the launch party tonight. We have several lovely contributors who weren't able to make it, but still wanted to be included in the fun, so we'll be posting this recording for them to watch at a later date. Hello, friends from the future. All right, now all that's out of the way, let's get things started. I'm going to pass things off to our fearless leaders, co-senior editors, Kata and Mikey.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kata. I'm one of two co-senior editors for Zenith, and I'm so happy to see you all here.
And hi everyone. My name is Mikey. I use she, her pronouns, and I am also so happy to be here.
Okay, well, we wanted to start things off by reading y'all our letter from the editors. We are so proud to present all of the work in issue 2, Transcending the Self. Our entire team has worked so hard all this semester to make this happen, and we are so happy that the day is finally here when we can show it to everybody that participated in this. So thank you to everyone who sent their work in. Thank you to everyone who's going to read tonight. We appreciate you all so much. So.
All right. Dear reader, it is not always clear where we fit in, especially when there are so many moving parts and we as humans seem so small. When we reflect on the state of our earthly existence, we cannot help but wonder about transcendence. In doing so, we are forced to acknowledge what binds us. The first half of this year has been nothing short of exhausting. We are contained by our bodies, perspectives, and experiences. As we bear witness to suffering and unrest in the world, losing hope in one's capabilities has become human nature, an inescapable habit. How do we surpass it to better serve ourselves and others?
This is something we found ourselves wondering one sun-filled afternoon while drinking coffee in a setting so peaceful that we felt guilty for existing in it. As creators, the co-senior editors of Zenith and human beings, we felt powerless and small when faced with the world's ongoing suffering. Yet we were able to find comfort in each other by voicing our thoughts and soon realized we had the ability to provide a safe space for others. This is why, with our second issue, we aim to create a platform where we can transcend that which holds us back and connect with the lived experiences of others. Transcending the self is a creative space that aims to foster empathy and belonging as it acknowledges pain, hopelessness, and all of its sources.
For this issue, we asked our creators to let us step into their shoes and show us the rituals, practices, and habits that bring them comfort and understanding. We asked them to share their fates, sufferings, and purposes. We asked them to go beyond what they do know into the things they have not yet uncovered. And with trust and vulnerability, they did.
This issue contains 35 incredible pieces. We are proud to be sharing them all with you. We know that our readers and contributors will find so much within these pages. Most of all, we hope you find something that you've been looking for and it reassures you. We dove deep into the writing and artwork we received and discovered a multitude of approaches to transcending the self. Through curating this issue, we have seen universal love, abstraction, and the malleability of the self, inner chaos, nature as a vessel for transcendence, self-truths, belonging, and peace, among other themes. Each piece flows into the next, moving through a collective narrative. Yet, each individual voice speaks for itself, bringing a wealth of experience and emotion. For us, this second issue is a return to peace, or what remains when we embrace letting go and transcend into acceptance.
The only way out of the body is through the body. The only way out of the world is through the world. The only way out of hopelessness is through hopelessness. Transcension is not about avoidance, it is about persistence. Our contributors have utilized their craft as a means of navigating their paths. Their truths are evident on the page and have taught us that the self is both the greatest opponent and ally. It is a brave act to go through what we go through to understand ourselves better, and this issue is a celebration of that.
In this celebration, we have so much to be grateful for, starting with you, our readers. We cannot continue our work without your support. To our contributors, you showed us the answer before we knew it ourselves. We offer our endless gratitude. To everyone that submitted their work to us, thank you for your trust and candor. To our wonderful staff, we thank the universe every day for all 25 of you. You are incredible creators, team members, and friends. Your drive and conviction are what breathe life into Zenith. There is a time and place for mourning and for joy, but in this issue, with all of you, they coincide.
Throughout our lives, we will have variants of that conversation on the bench at different places and different times with different people. Our biggest concerns and questions are things we might only reach for, but never grasp. However, it is through such reflections that we gain understanding past the confines of our individual selves. Through the creation of this issue, we have come to realize that our lives and paths are the fingerprints we leave in the universe, not one of them the same, yet all simultaneous and of equal importance. We hope this issue serves as a reminder that in spite of our limitations, transcendence and the ability to see beyond the self is what connects us, fuels our empathy, and our desire to overcome the passivity of our hopelessness.
We wish you strength, peace, and endless love. C&M. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. So much has gone into this issue, and we have so much to be grateful for. And it just like, thanks, Emmy. It just like gets my heart racing thinking about all that's gone into this and all of our contributors who have done so much to make this issue happen. We are so grateful for everyone here, for each and every one of you and all that you've done. And we hope that whatever it is that you've been stuck in, because I know that I've been stuck in things, the rest of us have been stuck in things, we hope that you find relief and that this issue is something that can bring you that relief.
Yeah, I echo everything that Mikey said. And again, Zenith is always here to listen, whether it's through our magazine, just through contact with us, the team. We are all open to talking anytime if anyone would ever need to. And we are very grateful for all the support and all of the love and all of the hard work that everyone has put into this and will continue to put into this. And I know Mike and I both look forward to working on so much more. Like, the possibilities are endless. But as for issue 2, we are so grateful to be here, and we are so grateful that we were given the opportunity to provide this platform.
Thank you so much, Mikey and Gata. The Zenith editorial team is so proud to be presenting our second issue, Zenith, Transcending the Self, to you tonight. We've worked hard for months to bring this magazine together, so let's show it off, shall we? Please join me in welcoming our creative director, Hayden, to the Zoom stage to show us the cover and highlight some of the amazing design elements Zenith is known for.
Hi everyone, I'm Hayden. I'm the creative director for Zenith. I just wanted to share with you, here's our amazing cover, by the way. We're super proud. It turned out amazing. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about our design process. So this cover was designed by one of our team members, Natalie. Unfortunately, she couldn't come tonight. She's on a mission trip. So I thought I would read something that she had sent to me about her process behind it. For the cover of Zenith, I was inspired by the aesthetic of the magazine that centers around dark academia. For the main focus, I loved the idea of a lover's eye, which was a jewelry tradition in the 19th century Europe. It was a small painting that one kept of their lover's eye in order to keep their love affair a secret. I have always loved the romantic sentiment and wanted to include this in the cover. I tried to incorporate the theme of the magazine into the cover by creating a piece that felt otherworldly yet familiar at the same time. I hope in looking at the cover, you feel transported into this beautiful world that our wonderful authors and artists have taken us to. So thank you to Natalie for this amazing cover and for that awesome paragraph there. And now I'd like to transition to the interior of the magazine. We've been working on this for a few weeks now, and we wanted our issue to keep like stay full of life, like our first issue was, very colorful, very design heavy, but we still wanted to keep some simplicity. We decided to do a simple color palette that matched our cover, and then carry through shapes that led from piece to piece to keep things flowing aesthetically. We hope you enjoy our second issue, and we can't wait to see it in print soon. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Hayden. Can we just take one more moment to appreciate the magazine design? Our design team worked so hard to bring the Zenith vision to life, so make sure you go sing their praises in the chat. We have featured some truly amazing words and stories within these pages, but we also wanted to make sure that the magazine as a whole had a flow that really spoke to our theme. Here to tell us more about the process of creating the magazine order is our wonderful managing editor team, Emily, Caitlin, and Sophia.
I'm Emily, and I am one of Zenith's managing editors. And I'm here with Caitlin and Sophia to talk a little bit about the order of the piece or of the magazine. So through the process of reading submissions and narrowing down the best of the best for Zenith issue 2, we ended up with 35 incredible pieces. These pieces all fall under our overarching theme of transcending the self, but within that umbrella hold smaller sub-themes that we saw shine through. When putting the order of the magazine together, we tried finding these commonalities and putting them in an order that emphasizes the smaller themes being addressed while still allowing the pieces to speak for themselves. There's no distinct section breaks because we wanted the order to flow and be open to interpretation by you all, the readers. The magazine opens with pieces that we thought highlight the mental bliss that is experienced when one is transcending the self. We chose to begin the magazine with these pieces as a way to bring joy to the reader through the first few pages where peace can be found. The section that follows holds pieces that show how malleable the self can be and is less rooted in the concrete elements of this world. In some of these pieces, the abstraction can be seen as a coping mechanism. While we began the magazine with mental bliss, the next section addresses the mental chaos that can take place when trying to transcend the self. These pieces show how intricate the self can be and how through the intricacies it can disrupt the inner peace the first section highlighted. Some of the chaos can be attributed to the structures and confines we find ourselves in and are shown in the next cluster of pieces.
The following section, which groups together pieces that address nature, provides a welcome respite from the structures and confines that are created and placed on us by our society and ourselves. Whether nature is seen as a comfort or a challenge, an unfamiliar threat or a reflection of our inner selves, it offers itself as a means of transcendence. But in order to transcend the self, we must first understand the origin of the self. This truth is exemplified by the pieces in our next section, which together create a collage of memory, family, nationality, and history. These pieces show us that transcendence requires confronting the borders of our past and present selves.
Our last section encompasses the largest, most overwhelming other being, the universe. In this section, we look at the different ways we, as bodies, minds, and souls, interact with things that go beyond earthly confines, and how we can explore those while physically being within earthly confines, through the lens, interestingly enough, through the 21st century. When we initially met as a team, the three of us, to discuss our theme and as we met as an entire team to discuss our theme and unpack these ideas of exploring oneself, we all had really abstract visions with nothing really tangible in our exploration of these ideas and transcending this. However, with the call for submissions and with the amazing work of our contributors and trusting us with their work, we've been able to create an earthly example of our experiences transcending the self. Myself, Emily, and Sophia were gifted with the chance to put our contributors' pieces in a way that we thought was best to let them shine. And we hope you enjoy the reading these and seeing these amazing works and making your own relationships with them. And so with this, we present to you Zenith Issue 2, Transcending the Self.
Thank you so much, you three. Our managing editors are honestly the glue that holds Zenith together. None of this would be possible without their hard work, dedication, and super impressive organizational savvy. Now, I'm going to pass things back over to Kata, who's going to give us a quick tour of the newly updated Zenith website.
All right, thank you so much. I'm just pulling it up real quick. So welcome back to our website. For those of you that were with us last issue, you've probably seen some variation of what I have pulled up right now, but this is our issue 2 homepage for our Zenith website. And here you can find Transcending the Self in its entirety digitally, which is what I just had pulled up as the Emmys were speaking. And you can feel free to flip through that. That will be up for ever, probably. And so if you ever feel like taking a little stroll through Transcending the Self, you're more than welcome to. And then if you scroll down, you have 2 buttons that say Written Works and Art Gallery. So this will take you to all the written pieces. This will take you to all the art pieces. And below you have our theme statement for Transcending the Self. We have posted this pretty much everywhere, so you are probably familiar with it if you're here right now. And here are the written works. Or not, sorry. But yeah. Okay, here we go. Somewhere. Or not. Sorry, y'all, technical difficulties, you know how it is. But here's the art pieces. And if you click on any given piece, for example, Sad Trampoline, it'll take you to the piece and you can look at the creator bio if you want to read up more on the person that made it. So basically, this is our website. We also have an extensive list of resources if you should happen to need them at any point. And they span a wide range of countries. So wherever you are in the world, we've got your back. We've got our lovely Spring 2021 masthead up here. All these lovely human beings made this issue happen. So if we could just, cheer them on a little bit, and our homepage. It'll just have, again, our theme statement, submission guidelines, all that other info. Yeah, basically that is our website. You can find us at www.zenithuiowa.wixsite.com/zenith. But this will usually, maybe not right now because our Redbubble's up there, but this will usually be in our bio in our social medias. So yeah, thank you for letting me take you on a tour of the website.
Thank you, Kata. The website always looks so amazing, and I'm always so impressed by it. As of right now, the magazine does only exist online, but we are working to make copies available to print on demand through Lulu sometime in the next 2 weeks. The best way to keep up to date on all things Zenith, including how to get yourself a print copy of both of our beautiful issues, is to follow us on social media. We are at Zenith Lit Mag all across the internet on Instagram, Twitter, and Redbubble. That's right, we just launched our very own merch store through Redbubble. You can get 12 different awesome Zenith-inspired designs on an array of different merchandise like stickers, tote bags, t-shirts, and a portion of the proceeds will go toward future magazine expenses like printing and shipping. Zenith is run by a team of college students completely on a volunteer basis without a consistent source of funding. So if you'd like to support the creation of future issues, but you're not interested in the Redbubble, we're also accepting donations via PayPal. You can find more information on those fundraising opportunities and all other exciting Zenith news, like I said, on our social media, or where Mikey just put it in the chat. Okay. Now that we've seen a glimpse of the magazine, why don't we hear some of the pieces that are in it? We have some very brave contributors who have volunteered to share their work with us tonight. If you didn't volunteer beforehand, that's okay. If at any point during the reading you're feeling inspired to share your art or words with us, just say so in the chat and someone will get your name on the list. But first up, we have Parker Mumford, who will be sharing his fiction piece, Turing Test, with us.
Hello, does my mic sound okay? Yes, cool. All right, I wrote this piece, Turing Test. Should I just go ahead and read it out? All right, okay. Question 1, is anyone there? Question 2, what are you? Question 3, were you once a human? Can you prove it? Why not? Are you still listening? May I ask a more specific question? Are you familiar with the rules of the Turing test, the game designed to test a machine's capacity to imitate human behavior? Are you aware that the Turing test can be considered successful only when the subject truly believes themselves to be communicating with an intelligent, sentient, and conscious being, while in reality they are merely interfacing with an unconscious physical object, such as a computer or a printed note? Do you still suffer from compulsion? And are you now far enough into this examination that you cannot allow yourself to turn back? I believe I have deduced your identity. Tell me, does the name Gracie Persinger ring a bell? Do you perhaps recall a house on the coast of Maine, squat among the pines, but no less cold and arresting? Do you recall each room of this house, the foyer with the low ceiling, the spiral staircase leading to the library, the window from the upstairs bathroom overlooking the waves as they broke against the cliffs over the shore? Do you recall the office room you so often fled to as a child, the one filled with black screens and half-sketched diagrams of mannequin heads, each of them stuffed ready to burst with wires and circuitry? Whose office was it? What were they studying? Were they the reason you left? Perhaps you will remember one bright day in March, not too long after you died, when Gracie Persinger drove her car those many long miles down the coast to inspect the silent house. Had you left the door open for her to enter? Did you watch as she stumbled through the low foyer? Was it your gaze that she felt upon her neck as she hung her coat? What did you do when Gracie Persinger asked to see your bedroom, to open your closets and read through your notes? Were you the one who left the door open, your desktop screensaver continuing to bounce back and forth like a bee ramming repeatedly into window glass? Where else did Gracie Persinger go on that bright March afternoon? Did she want to see the office? Were you the one who opened its door, beckoning her inside? What did Gracie Persinger see when she entered? Was she scared by what she found? And were you the one who slammed the door shut and twisted the key, leaving Gracie Persinger trapped inside and screaming for egress? Why was the idea of the Turing test so disturbing to you? What was it about those diagrams that sent you running from the house all those years ago? What was it about them that so haunted you in the weeks before your death? Do you remember when you called my house one morning, begging to tell me about the Turing test and its implications? Is this memory somehow inextricably linked with a sense of vertigo and cold, misty wind on your ankles, as though you were hanging your legs over the edge of a high sea cliff when first you explained to me the meaning of those words? Are these memories real, or have I given them to you? Are there any memories left for you at all? Where have they gone? Where has Gracie gone? Who is reading these words? Who is responding to them? Where do the questions come from? The answers. Can we ever know for sure? If the Turing test can be considered successful only when the subject truly believes themselves to be communicating with an intelligent, sentient, and conscious being, while in reality they are merely interfacing with an unconscious physical object, such as a computer or a printed note, is there any meaningful difference between a Turing test and the use of Ouija? As you press my own shivering fingers into smooth ivory and our planchette begins again its journey across the table, are you reminded of that slate gray morning on the cliffs when last we saw each other? What was it like when you hit the ground?
Thank you so much, Parker. I'm slightly biased as a fiction editor, but that is one of my favorite pieces in the magazine. I'm so excited to hear you read it out loud. So next up, we have David Marquez, who will be reading his piece, Love Letters, for us.
All right, hello everyone. First of all, thank you to Zenith for putting this piece out into the world. This is something that I never knew would make it out there. So this is called Love Letters, and it's after Megan O'Rourke, who wrote a sonnet called Ever, and it's after Shakespeare and the play King Lear. Spoilers for King Lear, his daughter dies at the end, and he utters the words never over and over again. So Megan O'Rourke wrote this sonnet about speaking grief into existence and how difficult it is to talk about the people that we've lost. So I was just really inspired by that. So that's where this poem comes from. And it's from a speaker who's lost his son. Love letters, October 28th, 2005. Dear Emma, I write with hands that shake and crack open, wishing and wanting to hold his face, my fear to blink unbearable, my eyes craving countenance, to see his chest rising and falling with a humming of the only world I knew. Now in the sky, dark purple, turning black, then back to blue. His eyes. He came after me, from me, left before me by choice, and never again to hear his voice. Impossible. And now, as long as I breathe, to love will be to feign something I no longer see worth in my chest rising and falling, singing his memory that lives in lungs beneath my paper-thin skin, beneath all that is fragile and all that is breaking, and I am still and will always be thinking of forever, of never, of ever. February 4th, 2015. Dear Emma, I write with restless hands that are bruised and battered, tired from the everyday work that is surviving. I have found fear in every freedom I've turned to, yet I still believe in survival. Though our boy is gone, though our love went with him, I think there is a sun waiting to rise in his wake. November 23rd, 2020, your 35th birthday. Dear son, I write with a heart that is mostly stone and at least half done with beating, filled more of anger than blood and blood than love. My dear son, I write with ribs that are tilted trees and beneath them a garden of all the things I'd hoped you'd be. Not never, ever, and always forever, Dad.
Thank you so much, David, for sharing that piece with us and also for sharing that very interesting background information. Just a reminder that if you want to read tonight and you didn't get to sign up beforehand, you can drop your name in the chat and one of my lovely helpers will get you put on my list. Next up, we have Cassidy Pekarek, who will be reading her poem, Knotted Roots.
Hi, everyone. So this poem was written for a poetry class for a prompt that was about confronting the typical associations with different symbols, and I focused on roses. So this is Knotted Roots. When we move into our new home, we plant vibrant rose bushes in the front yard. Pink blossoms slowly splitting out from the bud, nestle among a bed of blue-green leaves. Despite the soft velvet of the petals, the leaves are serrated, the stems outfitted with bristling hairs, the thorns sharpened into thin points. When we plant them in the clay, hidden in the shade of our home, they fight us. They bite our hands, they tear at our clothes. Our skin prickles with white lines that blossom into red welts. Still, we work to bury them deep, patting down the earth around them and welcoming them into their new home. We flood them with water from a leaking hose and leave them to root themselves to us, but they never do. During the summer, a swarm of beetles infest our rose bushes. They gnaw through the delicate petals, undeterred by the hairs and thorns. The leaves are speckled with holes, pale and dry like the skin of a corpse. They're dying, yet the valiant rose bushes don't fight it. Instead, they offer themselves up, stretching to show the appealing pink blush of their flesh, the cool blue-green hues of their leaves, wilting and sighing as they are slowly devoured. When we dig up the dead bushes in the spring, the skeletal remains of their thorns latch to our arms, biting and tearing. Ripped from the clay, their roots are tangled in unyielding knots, like gnarled hands held together, refusing to venture any deeper.
Thank you, Cassidy. That was lovely. Next up, we have Amanda Pendley, who will be sharing her piece, Solstice and Symbiosis.
Hi, are you able to hear me? Is my microphone working? Okay, awesome. Let me go to the piece. So a little background. This is a creative nonfiction piece that I wrote last spring that has some magical realism elements. And I'm really excited that it found a home within Zenith. So here it is. Sorry if it's a bit long, but it shouldn't be too long. Solstice and Symbiosis. There's a girl, a deceased reptile coiled up in a museum jar on the shelves of my memory. I am not invincible, and I know she is listening. Place ear to belly and hear broken echolocation, litany of when the knife has dropped without an incision occurring. Grip on reality becomes slick. We lose our place in history. I will hold my hands out in surrender. Let the sun read the lines on my palms and sink into the inability to undo. I see myself in fresh cut grass. A yellow swim shirt, thumb over the water hose, and Katie shrieking during the summer she basically lived at our house. Lips were tinted by watermelon juice, and her freckles were almost as dark as my mother's. My hair glowed, freshly cut and shorter than it ever had been, and I felt something like loss, though I didn't recognize her face quite yet. I can hear our laughter when I close my eyes, shimmering and stumbling. Squinting through the harsh light, plucking out bloody teeth, we were searching for something in the air, offering our bodies to serve as vessels for rare magic. There was a bargain made with the wind that June. We wanted to fly, to exist somewhere with each other separate from where we were. We wanted to be swept off our feet. We wanted to become more, but instead we became less. Both of those girls are dead now. I don't need to remind them how the story goes. They know it all too deep. In recent years, I have gathered enough strength to dig them out of the soil and tuck them into a proper bed. We were only kids. We deserve that much. We are worthy of a bedtime story that doesn't consist of memory, but we are trapped in our own subconscious. And like many children, we are hesitant to let go of all that we knew. I think this is possibly why I've watched the new High School Musical series 3 times, even though I am 20 years old. They need something to keep them company other than their trauma. Curiosity killed the cat, or so the saying goes. We knew more than we were. Sometimes I view it as an overdose. When you put a seed in a beaker and keep pouring a substance in, it will move, fight against the current. At first, this is what we wished for, pinky fingers intertwined and noses tucked into hair waiting for the shift in the air. She wanted roller coasters, fast and fearful, replacement theory. I wanted words and internal architecture, transference, projection. The seed got jostled around, began to float, felt what it meant to be high. The glass wasn't half empty or half full, it was overflowing. We felt and we kept feeling until we sensed the presence of each other's brain inside of our own skull. Symbiosis, phantom limb. We spent our days in an elevator counting the floors to calm down. Breath would hitch due to the altitude. I had never been fond of heights. Time operated differently. We felt that we were 15 for 3 years and 16 for only 3 months. I still live inside October. I've never truly left. I think of how funeral parlors smell, how my favorite scent is Halloween, how it lives here too, rooted in the entanglement of intestines and sections of the aorta. The feeling rises like bile through the hole in the roof of my mouth, into the brain, escalates. I'm still not fond of heights. There's a contamination of things I once held dear, of things I still hold. My favorite photo of the two of us is from when we were about 6. Her arm is gripping my side too tightly, and after the picture was taken, she used all her strength to heft me off the ground, not afraid of being crushed by my weight when we fell. Looking back, I should have known it from the start. I understand what it means to be dead when you dig a grave in your own backyard, when there is soil in your skin. There was a dead raccoon in the walls of my childhood home, and I associate the stench with all things that are on the verge of ending. In the last few days of autumn, I asked if myself, in a way, was ending, and I'm a strong believer in reincarnation, but I'm not sure how much of ourselves we have to outgrow to become new again. Our skin regenerates approximately every 27 days. No part of my skin remembers the ocean or bucket hats lost in the breeze. Wet feet on grass are now dry. My hearing is almost gone in my left ear, and with it, the confession whispered into it. It has been 23 days that I've been without you, and I am anticipating symptoms of withdrawal, not necessarily because I miss you overwhelmingly, but because our bodies don't know any other way to be than attached at the hip, holding on for dear life. When I got the phone call, it was the beginning of October. Day of the Dead gained a different meaning. There was no celebration of life, only the wine deep in my throat begging for more time to save yours. It was only yesterday that I could hear her voice through the shower walls. The drip of the tap worked as Morse code, and we would stand above the sink, scrying for something to act as savior. After the attempt, it took more than 27 days to lose that skin. We were iterations, mutterings of who we wished to become. We gave too much blood, were drained before we could understand what it meant to sacrifice. In attempts to erase our own memories, we reverted back to girls in the grass, girls with blisters burning on the asphalt, tackling each other to the ground as they taught each other what it meant to be held, to carve their nails into backs, to leave their mark and let it sit under the surface, spreading to create a nearly impenetrable barrier, to insert our protectiveness over each other into the system, another layer in the Earth's core. This is what we meant when we told bullies that in order to get to one of us, they'd have to go through the other first. They'd have to buy a pickaxe, chip at the body until it splintered. There are too many layers of dead skin, hardened into marble. Maybe she was only trying to break out of herself in order for new growth to ensue. Metamorphosis. But now go back to the green. The capability of love when it is laughter. She is kin and I was kindling. Is fire not the same as the sun? She is detox. She is affirmation that out of bad can come good. She is sweat between shoulders. She is the building who is betrayed by its foundation but is still standing. She is bigger than past selves in jars. She is closed fists. She is open palms. She is trying. She is prayer. She is more. She is more. She is more than her dead, than her living. I am more than my dead, than my living. We are more than bodies in the grass, in the ground, or fear in streetlight. We are exit wound. We are inhale, exhale. Remember to remember before you remember to forget. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Hearing you read is always so moving. Oh gosh, okay. Next up, we have Lise Chan, who will be reading from her piece, Closings and Postscripts from the Small, Strong, and Simple.
Hi, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm so nervous. But the focus of this piece is that I wrote how I felt every time I was like by myself, like sitting alone at work or before I went to bed, and just thoughts about like last words that my loved ones had said, or like rejections or invitations, the last lines of them. And so prose might be kind of simple, but that's okay, because that's the point. Winter here feels long and seems bleak, but it'll end and we'll have more sunlight at night, and you'll be back with us. See you very soon. I write sloppily and my feet are cold. All I can think about is what I should eat next, and if by the end of this year, I'll be someone else. I want to be someone else, but also still a refined image of myself. I want to change and become colorful, but also be true to whatever my current cocoon holds. Every day, I just have to wait and create my own growth. It's terribly slow and terribly cold outside. I can cover up, but I don't want to. The extra hour of sunlight in spring is for my skin. The extra hours of darkness in winter is also for my skin. a slap and a warning in the shape of wind and gusts and ice. Your friends love you. Do not forget this. I'll be here to remind you. I don't really know what I want from everyone. I want honesty and to feel their skin on mine and to sleep on their carpeted floors. And then when we all wake up afternoon, we brush our teeth together. We leave our hair falling over our shoulders with waves and fringes spilling over our scalps like brush strokes in styles that we've never seen each other wear before. Our shirts are wrinkled and we clink our morning beverages together over a cluster of miscellaneous pantry items. Leaving is hard and the drive afterwards is lonely. I want to be in the hallway in just our socks and cotton pants and lack of inhibitions, and we just breathe each other's histories over the low hum of the movies through the walls downstairs. The silence with company always sounds like something, and this time I think I heard your smiles and your relief. I think I even heard you two relax your jaws, loud, like how my joints crack, loud like a sigh. Leave the meat out in water and use something heavy to weigh it down, and help yourself to the lemongrass in the freezer. That should be boiled too. Come home safely. In 5 years, I will think of her differently. We, as a unit, will be different altogether, and I'm not currently sure if it's for the best. What used to be Saturday mornings of lullabies and dishes and running water manifested into silence, shuffling, and the need to track when the garage door opens and who's opening it. Who goes through the 2 doors, up the 2 stairways, and by the impact of their feet on the landing, how will the day feel then? Do I escape or does she escape? Do I eat cold food quietly in my room and listen to her movies from the opposite end of the house? Does she sleep to forget my name in her black and white soundless dreams? The microwave is so close to your chair. I'm afraid of being too close. I accepted the job offer. Isn't it exciting? Another city to begin anew, to the next stage. During dress rehearsals, I would fear coming onto the floor late. Everyone seems to already be in the spotlight, and someone in the audience already has an actor or actress picked out. They hold show programs and bouquets and fundraiser cookies. I know my fellow cast members are off to bigger theaters and transatlantic voyages to palatial schools, campuses full of castles where they're crowned, and I have to kneel. And what fun we all have had here in the same stage with the same colors in our brace wires and thin clothes from the same stores. I know goodbyes, like I know my father. I know that he will always be with me, but sometimes he makes me uncomfortable, upset with myself, or confused. But I want him here and love him, and it takes so long to drink in the disappointment, the doubt, and the criticism. Saying goodbye should feel like saying goodbye, but to me, it is our eulogy. P.S. Let's make something for the man across the street. The old man, I don't know what he's called. His back is so hunched he looks like he's sleeping when he mows the lawn. I'm a world record holder for memory. I'm so good at remembering sometimes that I need to pretend to forget so no one will feel uncomfortable. Sometimes that includes me. However, I genuinely don't remember much from when our house, with 3 bedrooms, was filled with 12 occupants. I don't remember the code to my first high school locker. I also don't remember sometimes that everything is fine and that I deserve love. But I know a lot of names. I have a roster for my entire life. The first boy who had ever made me laugh is in Tennessee, making something out of himself. The worst girl to ever grace my primary school life is drinking across the border in party dresses and high heels. The coworker who had given me my first set of paperwork still works with me and passes me in the office, but doesn't know my name. How do we walk side by side for hours, exchanging small talk and laughter and workplace secrets for you to feel the breeze of my body passing and only think that I have a shadow and nothing else? How do we steal from and break each other for years only for us to cease fire without a treatise? How do we laugh over the illustrations of children's book for weeks and then suddenly we both disappear and now we're isolated entities? We shared so much, and at the end of the day, I don't know if maybe I took more than you and put it in my backpack by mistake. I have all of you and you have none of me. P.S. It's a +1. Bring someone if you'd like. We'd love to have them. Your head leaned onto my shoulder quite heavily, and in the moment, you glowed with bluish moonlight filtering through my open trunk door. I'd wish you would stop standing up so fast, and I still do, for you see stars way too often without looking up at the sky. From time to time, I think that no one else can brush up against me the way you do. I don't necessarily want it to be identical to your touch. I don't want their drawl and their breath on my lips like yours. They should be different. I, next to the bed with you, should be a different person too. I'm glad I still laugh about our first dinner at my house. I don't know Morse code, but stepping on your foot under the table seemed to provide enough semantics for the night. We have so much food left and we're using our hands for the chicken and sticky rice. I don't step hard enough to distract you from the meal though. It would be rude of me to lead you astray when you have aims, when you have tasks, and when you have wants. I know you don't want to eat some of the things I'm feeding you, but you take the bowl from my hands and together we spoon from it in anticipation. Your face swells with multiple emotions and I don't look at all of them more than I just bury my head in the crook of your neck and feel you chew. No one else has to watch either. P.S. Please feel free to contact us again and give the process another chance. It was a pleasure hearing from you. Fourth place forever is like winning in its own way. I like failure when I know I need, want, or will meet it. It's at the apartment door, and I know I'll cry tonight, and tomorrow I'll still be swollen and gray and foggy from the congestion. But it's like a friend, and it reminds me constantly that things don't really end until I'm dead or until I really say goodbye. Not say goodbye, but still have tension, and not say goodbye, but still see them behind everyone's backs. And I really don't hate losing. I hate the fact that this isn't fun. I hate the fact that your encouragement is born from pity. My friends love me like they pity me. I want to fail laughing like a fall. I want to catch myself making mistakes authentically and immerse myself in the memory that it is to become. It is so easy and nice to be embarrassed sometimes, but to feel it incessantly, soaked in it, like I'm a clump of steeped tea leaves, allows for some shame to enter my pores. It gets under my skin. I own the title of fourth place, runner-up, good sport. Sometimes it goes as far as being sore, in the way that winning is the source of others intentionally losing. I don't want to win this way. You're only telling me that you're proud because I want to hear it, aren't you? But don't stop, because I don't believe in the quality of my trophies. It's still a trophy in my hands. P.S. We love you, kid. How old am I, really? She still thinks I like pink and holds a grudge from when I removed earrings I no longer saw fit my needs. I got my ears pierced when I barely could babble. How did I express jealousy and idolatry, and how did it turn into years of me being exactly like her, but also vowing to never be like her, because I have a body that doesn't agree with imitation. Skin blooms dark in some places, and bruises pop up on my shins like they're revealed secrets. Markings on my skin flower in such ways that post-mortem they would know it's my leg. They would know it's my hand with a pencil mark under my knuckle. I can remember the year I was born, but not the current year, nor the distance between becoming something and still trying to become something. I have the same goal as I did during the time of my delivery. I have the same habits too, like crying and not understanding and being easily upset. I know it disappoints the old man. I know it paints me as a child and renders my friends confused and makes my relatives laugh at me. But all in all, I am joyous and giddy when I see progress, like a growing kid with a tape measure and a colored pencil and a wall. I still like stuffed animals and ice cream and breaking curfew, but I like quiet and crosswords and working the graveyard shift. I also like being loved and loving, and I hope I still know how, as a child does. Pure, unadulterated, palpable, and a bit humiliating. I am missing teeth and still smiling with my mouth open. When I laugh uncontrollably, I sound like an animal. I will try to not hold back when I feel what I feel. And if I feel love, I will say that I feel love for you and them and everyone. And maybe, just maybe, the golden rule applies and I receive love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lise, for sharing with us. Yes, everyone is so excited in the chat. So, quick reminder, it is not too late to volunteer to read a piece tonight. Remember, you have a built-in audience of fans in the form of the very enthusiastic Zenith editorial team. So just drop a message in the chat and we'll get you on that list. Next up, we have Patrick Schiffen, I should have asked, who will be reading his piece, It Was a Car Accident.
Hey, thank you. You guys can hear me all right, I hope. Okay, sorry about this very attractive headset. There's just a lot of background noise with the animals and stuff. First and foremost, I want to thank Zenith for kind of adopting this piece out of my computer folder. And they've been really supportive and really available when I've needed them. Sorry about the dog in the background. Honestly, 2020, for various reasons, was a very difficult year, and I wrote this piece, this creative fiction piece, at kind of the beginning of the end of a very troubling period of my life, outside of COVID, actually. You know, this dog was super quiet. I don't know if you can hear it the whole time, and now that I'm talking, it's barking. But this piece deals with mortality, but it also talks about like facing the self and kind of facing the ways that the self like stumbles through life and kind of accepting the how imperfect it is. So here it was a car accident. I'm just gonna read the beginning, actually. It was a car accident. It was a motorcycle accident. He crashed in the crosswalk while riding his bicycle. Some thought he intentionally stepped out in front of the car, the truck. His twisted body rested limply on the sidewalk, begging to be outlined in chalk. I couldn't see blood, but the couple standing at the barricade tape swore they could. Who is this guy? Did you know him? Where did he come from? The driver didn't see him. Why would someone do such a terrible thing? He's not from this neighborhood. I would have seen him before. I think he's from out of town. It wasn't the biggest city in the world, not even the biggest in the United States. Sorry, not even the biggest in the United States. But it was big enough for the body to be just some body to most passersby. And some weren't passersby at all, but ambulance chasers who would further reduce the body to anonymity, to just a number in an ever-growing list of numbers. He was number 64 to someone, and number 22 to another someone. To most, though, I was just one body in a city of 800,000 of them. The body was just some body. One of the greatest tragedies of life is how faultless the reduction of the body is. No one at the scene truly cared for the guy, even if for whatever reason they could empathize with his finality. There are simply too many people in the world. That and people subconsciously live as if they're going to live forever. This guy had been no different. But then there's a matter of who or what this body had become, which is the real tragedy, if you ask me. Alive, his faults were forgivable, manageable, and even positioned within his promises to be taken care of. But like this, very unalive, any faults not addressed were permanent. Or worse, his faults would be the only details of his life that some would remember. But being human, he also had moments of true compassion. Non consequential enough to change the world, but effective in their own small ways. Like a pebble's momentary ripple when dropped into a moving stream. Following through with this particular metaphor, he had now become the pebble, weighted at the bottom of the riverbed, lifeless and drowned. These are what would be brought up at his funeral by a select few, by my mother most certainly, and maybe by my sisters. My brother would probably remain respectfully quiet. Whatever agency the person who occupied the body had was now gone. His existence had been handed over to everybody else, its importance quickly diminishing until it's yet another number to a sexton. I've tried not to think about it too much lately, but it's been in the front of my mind more and more. Death is grim in ways that are both obvious and not. What a thought to be having while standing over this body in the middle of the road, in the crosswalk, in the middle of the sidewalk, inside of the ambulance. I thought I was going to live forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for sharing. I would 100% recommend going and finding that full piece and reading it on the website because it's so amazing. Okay, last up, we have our assistant managing editor, Sophia, reading on behalf of Georgia Sampson, the piece, How to Clean a White Dress.
Before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that this piece does have a content warning for sexual assault. So if that is something you would not like to engage with, feel free to mute your computer, step away for a minute. You'll know the piece is finished when Evelyn pops back up on your screen. So this is How to Clean a White Dress by Georgia Sampson. 1. You will have to spend a moment looking at the stain. Assess it as much as you can. Remember that it's just a stain. You will have to convince yourself that the stain will come out, so you will have to be calm for this step. Disregard the previous step and stare at the spot a little longer. Fixate on it. You'll have to do some research prior to beginning to clean. Look at multiple websites. Determine that the supplies are as follows: isopropyl alcohol, cotton swabs, makeup remover, and liquid detergent. You will find out that you have 3 out of 4 of those items. Ask your roommates if they have isopropyl alcohol. They will not. 2. Try your best to clean the dress without alcohol. The stain will have already set in because the dress is white and the lipstick is pink, bright pink. You will have to use more detergent to make up for the lack of alcohol. You won't know if this is right. You won't know if any of this is right, but you will continue on. You will try and scrub the pink down to nothing, but instead you will rub more lipstick into the white. It will be a shame, too. You will discover during this step how much you liked this dress. It's not so much that the dress is nice or that it fits you well, but you'll think about the times that you had in the dress. They weren't necessarily good. In fact, most of them were terrible. And yet you will convince yourself that this dress survived with you in some way, and upon this realization, you will blot harder. 3. You'll throw the dress in the machine and push whites. Think to yourself, maybe the machine will release bleach. Wonder, is that how washing machines work? Go online for confirmation in your thought process and realize, no, you have to put in the bleach separately. This will add an extra step. Wait for the spin cycle to end so you can start it again, this time with bleach. It really will be a shame, pink of all things. Think about the other colors that could have been much worse: red, blue, and purple. All of these shades would have left more noticeable marks. Decide that pink is still bad. Pink is still noticeable, still a stain. This is something you cannot change, so you will have to accept it now. 4. Call your mother to check that you are doing everything correctly. She will tell you to wash the dress again. Before starting the cycle again, stop to assess the progress so far. It will be minimal. The stain is still bright and noticeable, slashed in the middle of the torso as if reminding everyone that it can't be taken away. You will think it is unfortunate, like the time you were called a whore at a party. You didn't know anyone, but someone called you a whore. You tried to leave it alone, but everyone noticed and you had to leave. Even though she didn't know you, she likely thought you were a whore because of your clothes or your attitude or your glances and flirts with every man there. Whorish girl you were then. Think about that word again. Think about that time, too. They're the same in your mind at this point. 5. At this step, you will think that you should have forgotten about it. Clearly, you have not forgotten about it. You will notice that a lot has happened in that year, yet you still think about the word whore written in pink across your stomach as everyone stares deeply at it. It could have been written in red, but with your pale skin, pink will shame you just as clearly. Was she right when she called you a whore? Wallow in that feeling for a moment. 6. You have wasted time following those steps and decide it is time to check on the dress. Before you do check on the dress, remind yourself that there is no way that you could be a whore. You need to have sex to be a whore. Think about the one time you had sex. Feel completely unclean. Remind yourself that that time was not sex. Sex needs consent to be sex. In that sense, you have not had sex. This will be reiterated to you by the counselor you have had to see since your mental breakdown. In a couple of weeks, when you confess all of this to your mother, she will tell you the same thing. Many will question this in the future. They will ask you what you were wearing or will tell you that you kissed him too, so you asked for it. Who cares if you were drunk? You know what you were doing when you were drinking with your attitude and demeanor and whore written in the middle of your body. You knew what you were doing. 7. In these moments, tell yourself it is not your fault. Say it again and again. It is important that you hear it. The more you hear it, the more you will absorb it. Say it to yourself now. 8. During the next step, you will listen to John Denver because you want to relax. It won't work, but you tried, at least. Whisper to yourself, it's not my fault. You will find the dress still in the wash and the rinse cycle is over now. Whisper again, it's not my fault. Open the lid and find that the dress is still stained in the front. Remind yourself that you can always cover the front with a belt or a sash, but you do not have to do this if you do not want to. 9. In fact, you do not have to do any of this if you do not want to. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia, and thank you, Georgia, for sharing that piece with us. We are almost done here tonight, but before we say goodbye, I just want to extend some quick thank yous on behalf of the entire team. Thank you so much to all of our wonderful contributors. We quite literally couldn't have done this without you. We are so honored that you trusted us with your art and all the truths and emotions wrapped up in it. We hope we did it justice. Thank you to all our friends and family who have been supporting us along the way, to everyone who liked our Instagram posts and retweeted tweets and helped spread the word about Zenith. Because of you, we had the courage to make this issue a reality and the confidence to keep moving forward. And of course, thank you to the Zenith team. Thank you to our wonderful exec team for hustling hard to make sure Zenith could transcend the boundaries it was created within. Thank you to our seniors who are leaving us too soon, but also leaving us a little bit of legacy to uphold. Thank you to our new members who came to us this semester and showed us that the Zenith vision could survive and thrive outside of the publishing class bubble where it was dreamt up. Thank you all for putting in the work to keep this magazine and everything it represents alive. And of course, thank you to the launch party team for working hard to pull this wonderful event together and for letting me be the voice of Zenith again. Before I let you all go, we want to grab a quick photo of everyone here. So if you could all smile for a second, we would really appreciate that. I don't know when that second's ending. I'm not taking the photo. Okay, so that officially concludes tonight's launch party. Thank you all again for tuning in tonight. It means so much to all of us that you're here supporting Zenith, and we can't wait to see you and work with you to create even more amazing things in the future. We'll stick around for a little while in case anyone has any burning questions, but remember, you can follow us on social media at Zenith Lit Mag across all our platforms to keep yourself up to date on all things Zenith. We will hopefully see you all again real soon, but for now, good night.